You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do?
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So we have an ex-advisor to Fauci, top advisor to Fauci, who has pled guilty as a part of this COVID cover-up to trying to conceal records as it pertained to the pandemic. And he has pled guilty, and he will be sentenced. This is a huge advancement in development in the story that is causing people 6 years out. In fact, I think COVID leaked around this time, August of 2019. So, 7 years out from the Wuhan leak, whether it was on purpose or accidental, and all the ramifications that ended up happening. And when people, including myself, was like, look, we just want the numbers. We just want, and if we do have some thoughts or theories, just don't shadow ban us. Don't attack us. Don't threaten us with losing our licensing or getting fired. Just, let's have some honest conversations about the numbers, about where this came from. As I always said, I wasn't here to blame China or blame anybody in particular. I just wanted to know that if there was a laxity or vulnerability in a lab in China, and many labs parallel their protocols across the globe, maybe we need to get the memo out to all the other labs that, look, okay, this is where they messed up. Make sure you don't mess up as well. It's all about learning. It's all about protecting people, but that's not what happened. It was all about covering people's asses. And that is now we're seeing the ramifications of that. Dr. David Morens worked as senior advisor in Fauci's office at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease for almost 20 years. He did play a role in pandemic communications, coordinated high-priority research grants, now is accused of using his private email account to purposefully avoid his communications falling under the FISA Act, the Freedom of Information Act. And so for him to use his public personal emails, it was a quote-unquote back channel. The Justice Department alleges that he worked to combat a narrative that COVID-19 leaked from a lab in Wuhan, even though we all figured that out in early 2020. And made an effort to revive a controversial coronavirus grant called Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. So his sentencing is scheduled for November. He faces a maximum prison sentence of 5 years. What we're hearing is, let me just get you a little bit more detail. So that was from Forbes. So Morens pled guilty. As you know, Fauci was a former advisor to President Donald Trump and Joe Biden during the pandemic. He was in office from 1984 to 2022 in his position, and Fauci was making, I believe, at about $400,000 a year at the time. And he played a role in granting and funding gain-of-function research. Whether he purposefully knew it was gain-of-function or not, still being debated. We can't get any information from him because he keeps pleading the fifth. But the fact that when this happened, he didn't immediately go, guys, this is what we have, because we've been working with China. All right. We got some data. We have some. Let's just put it all out there. The fact that he didn't and said, let's just move away from that. And then when people were talking about the vaccine, going, look, we have a study here about miscarriage risk, and we have this, and him blowing it off and not conveying that. Meanwhile, pregnant women are getting fired from their waitress jobs by not getting the vaccine. He messed up, and he messed up bad, and we're pretty pissed off about this. But if he pled the fifth, and Biden, that was fascinating, Biden pardons him, pardons Dr. Fauci. Why would you pardon him? What was he guilty of? Why would Dr. Fauci need a pardon? Well, now we know. Says now he doesn't have to testify. Well, if he does testify, then he could be in trouble for perjury. So Dr. Morens, who worked for the NIH, according to his lawyer, Tim Belovitz, said by pleading guilty today, he's taken responsibility for what he did and will continue to do so. He pled that he, two co-conspirators, and others conspired to defraud the U.S. after the NIH terminated a grant awarded to conspirator number one. Conspirator number one was Dr. Peter Daszak. The former president of EcoHealth Alliance, whose NIH grant for understanding the risk of bat coronavirus emergence was canceled after allegations that COVID-19 emerged from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. After the grant was terminated, Morans and co-conspirator 2, known as Gerard Kush from being reported Daily Mail, a former employee of Boston University's infectious disease lab, pledged to reinstate the funding to counter the narrative that COVID leaked from the lab. The DOJ did not name the other two. So he used his personal Gmail account as a back channel, sent non-public information to Daszak and Kush. Court documents show these matters fell within his professional capacity, meaning the correspondence need to be created and maintained on government systems. He admitted that Daszak conspired to pay, quote, illegal gratuities for his concealment efforts. So he got paid to do this. The former Fauci advisor received wine from Daszak and for behind-the-scenes shenanigans, according to the DOJ. And the former EcoHealth Alliance boss also suggested he would provide Morans with meals at Michelin-starred restaurants in Paris, New York, Washington, D.C., according to the DOJ. So, he testified before Congress in 2024 that he learned how to make controversial internal agency correspondence disappear. So he learned how to make emails disappear. They got to be able to get those emails. They have to be able to get the data. And why were we lied to? Why was all this concealment happening? Why by doctors? Because what? They were afraid they'd lose a $400,000 a year job? Listen, we collaborate with countries all the time. We do scientific experiments and sometimes things go wrong. A doctor may write a medication and the patient may get a side effect from it. You don't cover it up. You don't lie. You say, look, guys, this is what happened. I want everyone to learn from this because it could happen to you. Patients come first. The people come first. And you don't get in trouble because if an accident happens, it's not on you. But there was a lot more to this. And my fear is it even goes deeper than what we could even fathom. And it was so deep that Biden was like, I got to pardon Fauci because this is going to be a mess. Or maybe he didn't know, but whoever was operating the auto pen. So, starting to see people say, yeah, we, messed with emails. We tried to hide information. We whatever. I'm not shocked. But if Fauci has the protection, the other people who conspired with him don't. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the reason why we make fun of Canadians' healthcare system and socialized medicine and all these other non-American systems is our argument is in America, you get faster treatment. You'll get into the specialist quicker. You'll get the MRI quicker. Well, not after this study. And I'm seeing that we are going to start to parallel some of these other countries unless we get our acts together. And in the latest study, they're saying our cancer treatment is getting more and more delayed. And the average wait times from diagnosis to first treatment has grown by more than 10 days across all 6 cancer types studied. So even though in some of these socialized medicine countries, it could take months for you to get in with a specialist, in America, we were pretty good with that. Where we could, if we diagnosed you, would call an oncologist, would call the surgeon, and would try to get you in that week. Well, that's changing. Researchers from the University of California, Los Angeles, and Massachusetts General Hospital looked at national data from more than 2 million patients diagnosed between January 2012 and December 2023. The study looked at adults with early to locally advancing stages of 6 common cancers. So we're not talking about advanced metastatic disease. We're talking about kind of early diagnosed cancer of the breast, the colon, the lung, the pancreas, the stomach, and then your esophagus, which is your gullet or the tube connecting the mouth to the stomach. And they ended up needing surgery as part of their initial care. So this was referrals to the surgeon. Researchers measured wait times from the day of the diagnosis to the first treatment. So this isn't somebody who's been sick and doesn't go into the doctor and finally get seen. These are people where, okay, wow, all right, you have cancer. Maybe based on a CAT scan, or because usually the surgeon's doing the biopsy, but sometimes the radiologist is doing the biopsy, like a stereotactic breast biopsy or the GI colonoscopy biopsy. But the researchers looked at the wait times for the day of the diagnosis to the first treatment, whether that was surgery or pre-surgical therapy designed to shrink a tumor. Across all of those 6 cancers, median wait times grew by over 10 days. Regardless of whether the surgery came first or followed other treatments. They say the longest increases occurred with stomach cancer, where wait times rose from 35 days to 49 days. So it's not saying they're only waiting 10 days. It's getting 10 days longer. So now about a month and a half with stomach cancer. And stomach cancer is pretty damn aggressive. Lung cancer, that wait time increased from 41 days to 53 days. Breast cancer wait times grew from 34 to 45 days. Colon cancer delays increased from 20 to 31 days. Now, reason being is with colon cancer, you're already with the GI doctor getting the scope. So you're already a little bit more in. But for those individuals who are getting screened by by imaging, now they have to start from scratch with a oncologist or a doctor. So that's why my guess, the colon cancer. However, with stomach cancer, if that's being diagnosed by an EGD, an upper endoscopy, then again, you're also already within the GI. So I'd like to know a little bit more about how these people were diagnosed. Pancreatic cancer, which can be extremely fast and aggressive, climbed from 23 days to 32 days, at least a month out. Esophageal cancer, again aggressive, from 38 days to 48 days. They also found that a growing share of patients were waiting at least 2 months or longer to begin treatment. Now we're looking more and more like Canada. Still not as bad. But Fox News is reporting that Dr. Mark Siegel says this is part of our healthcare system that needs fixing immediately. So where were the delays? Was it that they were all rural? Not entirely. A lot of them were also at high-volume academic medical centers. The waiting times for basic cancer operations and non-metastatic or non-spreading diseases was high and increasing since 2012 when they when they looked at the study. Now, they already adjusted for factors like age, underlying health. They found the delays wasn't an across the board equal. They say the longer wait times were seen for Black patients, people on Medicaid, individuals in lower income areas, patients traveling longer distances for care, and those treated at academic medical centers or high volume hospitals, which would be then in big cities. But interesting, people on Medicaid. Okay, there's your government insurance, your single payer insurance. They didn't get in quicker. The West experienced longer delays than other regions. And for non-breast cancer, the use of robotic surgery was linked to longer wait times. Now, obviously, study authors caution that delays in surgical treatment have been tied to higher death rates, worse long-term survival than previous medical research. So, they do have limitations to the study. They said their analysis relied on retrospective data from the National Cancer Database. It didn't necessarily determine the extent of reasons behind the individual treatment delays. Was it scheduling issues? Was it that there's not enough doctors? Was it the authorizations from insurance? Was it that a patient said, look, I got a trip coming up. I need to delay. So that is really, really important. What they did is they looked at data going, okay, so this person got diagnosed here, but their surgery was here. Look at the number of days. But did anybody ask, why was the surgery delayed? Why was the surgery on that date? Do we not have enough specialists? Is it that the insurance, the prior auth and the hoops, the surgeon was ready to go. The patient was ready to go, but the insurance didn't want to pay for it. Is it that the patient had an out-of-pocket that they had to pay for? Is it that the patient got sick? So if they got sick, it had to be put off. So we kind of need to know that. But we can see trends. And if the trends are showing it's taken longer for us to get in with our specialist, that's worrisome. Because we are able to fight cancer if we could catch it early. But if we catch it early and you're not getting the treatment early, the treatment is coming later, you could be in trouble. Now, lately we're seeing issues because people are not getting diagnosed early. I'm having patients all the time call with rectal bleeds. Yeah, I think it's a hemorrhoid, so just give me some cream. I go, has anybody checked to make sure it's not cancer? Now, I say it nicer than that because I don't want to freak them out. But colorectal cancer is on the rise in young people. Is anybody insuring that? Why am I going to call it a hemorrhoid over the phone? Has anybody looked at you? You're bleeding rectally. It's not a good sign. Yes, a hemorrhoid could cause bleeding, but so can cancer. And the average person, when they have rectal bleeding, they're going to telemedicine. So, and I mean, at least they're getting a doctor where we could tell them, look, this is what you need to do. But I can't tell you how many patients are like, I don't want to pay the copay. My healthcare plan now, it's too expensive to go to the doctor. Thank Obama for that one. So if you're listening to this going, holy crap, Dahlia, Dr. Dahlia, that's okay if you don't call me doctor. I'm fine with that. But I am a doctor, not like El Sayed Ahmed, who has never practiced. But, or Syed Ahmed, or yeah, El Sayed Ahmed, yeah. But if you're listening to this going, holy crap, one is I don't want to get cancer, but two, I don't want to be sitting around waiting months to get seen. What do you do? How do you protect yourself? Okay, well, first and foremost, get yourself a primary care provider. That's day one. A lot of patients are saying, you know what? I could call a telemedicine company who'll order my mammogram. Now, that's nice because you're getting a mammogram, but what do you do if it's abnormal? Who do you see? What if that telemedicine company isn't in town and you need them to call somebody across the street saying, I need you to get this patient in? So first and foremost is get a primary care provider. Number two is get your screening test done soon. Don't put off your colonoscopy tomorrow if you could do it today. Don't put off your mammograms. If you do, let's say, have a primary care provider appointment and it's not till December, but you have the opportunity to do a mammogram because we're coming up on, Breast Cancer Awareness Month and, you'll then at least get the testing done. It's a good start. But don't put off tomorrow what you could do today. make sure you're getting yourself checked out and make sure you have somebody who can refer you if you need to be referred. I really like the medical school clinics. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want a medical student practicing on me, but it's not that. With a lot of the medical systems, the school systems, there's specialists. So, and they're not going to want to have bad outcomes with the medical school clinic. So if you're like, I live in a town where I don't even know if there's a GI doctor or a colorectal specialist or a pancreatic specialist, that's another possibility where you go through the medical schools. But just, don't let anybody, put off your care. You're going to have to be aggressive, even if it means paying cash. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, Fine Farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
And we're back on the Dr. Dolly Show. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So as we're coming up on the midterms, in addition to politicians claiming they're going to wipe out our student debt and give us free health care and Medicare for all and all the other stuff, you're seeing progressives also going to push a minimum wage hike. And what is being recommended by progressives is a federal $25 minimum wage per hour mandate. Now, of course, many individuals are kind of concerned about this. There's pros and cons, but the big concern people have is raising the minimum wage to $25 will cause job loss, especially for small businesses. And they say that they're looking at millions of people losing their jobs in several of the Sunbelt states. According to Fox News, progressive members of Congress are pushing to raise the federal minimum wage floor to $25 per hour by 2031 for large employers. Smaller businesses have to hit that in the next 12 years by 2038. The proposal would also eliminate the federal tip credit, raising the direct cash wage requirement for tipped employees up to $25 per hour. When I waited tables, I averaged $1 or $2 an hour and had to live on the tips. Well, now that people are like, okay, I'm kind of sick of this with the tips, and many states are saying, look, you still get at least the minimum wage, that will definitely affect tipping, because if people are thinking, see, because I know that waitresses are making hardly anything, and that's why I'm tipping. But if they are at least making, a wage, then, and I mean, I'm tipping more than I need to, then a lot of people are going to be like, do I really need to give them 25% on top of this? Especially since now that restaurants would be paying their waitresses $25 an hour, the food is going to get a lot more expensive. Rebecca Paxton, research director at the Conservative Employment Policies Institute, warned that a $25 federal mandate would be a total job killer. They predict at least 5 million jobs nationwide slashed immediately, especially in Texas, Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. The problem we have is the federal minimum wage is still at $7.25 an hour. $7.25 an hour barely buys you a bottle of water at an airport these days. And so this is tricky. Things are too expensive now. In the Midwest, things are still cheaper. But where I live, gas is what, close to $5 a gallon? You can't live on $7.25. $25 minimum wage, though, is tripling the bottom line then for labor costs. So what will employers do? Go to AI, go to automation, or close. So they say Texas, North Carolina, and Florida have been the beneficiaries of post-COVID migration. Many people are leaving Cook County, Illinois, LA County, New York City. So these other areas are growing exponentially. Well, now if you double or triple the minimum wage, you're doubling or tripling the labor costs for businesses in those areas. Now, again, they shouldn't. I don't believe Florida is still, at $7.25. I mean, or if many people are, their minimum wage is at $14 per hour. So Florida's current minimum wage is $14 an hour for standard employees. It's going up to $15 per hour next month. So they're not making $7.25 an hour federally. Tipped employees get at least $10.98 an hour. Still way better than I did. But there will be future increases. So many of these states, are not at the ridiculous $7. And I think also the reason why is many states have already kind of adjusted. Now I believe Texas is still at $7.25 an hour, and then their tipped workers are getting $2.13 an hour. Now that's low. I'm sorry, that's low. But does that mean we move it to 25? So when in California, they increased the minimum wage for fast food to $20 an hour, what happened? Fast food went up, fast food establishments closed, people got fired. Now, what some people are saying is, well, it's worth it because it's the only thing that's going to change giving people more money. So we'll take the loss, we'll take the casualties, because in the long run, there'll be the higher minimum wage. Well, what's happening right now? What are we seeing in the long run? We're seeing this massive AI push and automation push. And it started because of Biden saying pay them more in the whole COVID pandemic. Even though, yes, we were moving towards that anyway, because bosses want to, save money, it really accelerated. Because they're like, look, these people want triple salary just to come back to work, and they want to work from home. And some of them are double dipping, working 2 jobs from home. And we have to pay health insurance that is skyrocketing. What do? Well, hire fewer people. If we could figure out how to hire fewer people, then you're going to save money. And that's what employers are doing now. So there's got to be a happy medium between $7.25 an hour and $25 an hour. But if you look at the in terms of the years of when this would be done, I mean, $25 an hour by 2031, and then by 2038 for small businesses, they're going to need even more by then if we don't curb the prices of things. We need to figure out how to get homes cheaper, how to get rent cheaper, how to get cars cheaper. You're already seeing people go, no, I'm not doing the electric vehicle. So they're already kind of pushing back on that. They're going to hybrids so they could save money on gas. I'm seeing a lot of families move in together. A lot of kids living from home. A lot of people are cooking more rather than eating out. I remember seeing lines at these restaurants and, out the door. And now it's, oh, yeah, we could seat you. Yeah, you could seat me because your salad is $21 for a salad. It's kind of ridiculous. So now I'm nervous because I don't see a fix. Once you offer to pay people more, you can't subtract it. So once, like in California, once you say, look, if you're going to work at McDonald's, you got to pay them $20 an hour. Now, anytime I walk into a McDonald's, it's just kiosks. You see the people in the back, preparing the food, which is going to be also later automated. But, you don't even have a customer service up front. One of the cooks will come and give you your food. That's where we are now. And I don't want to touch a screen and figure out how to do my burger or whatever. I just want to tell somebody this is what I want. And let them get paid for that. But your prices are going up. This $25 minimum wage, and it will happen because we're getting, individuals who are going to get themselves voted in by saying, we're going to give you more money. That is going to turn around and make things more expensive. The $6 haircut or the $13 haircut doesn't exist anymore. You're spending almost $30 for your haircut at Supercuts. It might be a great haircut, but $30 for Supercuts? Why? Because they got to pay people more. Supplies are more. Everything's more expensive. So we need to figure out collectively how we get the prices down. If there's an employer that's only offering $7 an hour, they're not going to get employees. So they're going to have to raise their rates to get employees. But if they're like, you know what, to hell with this, I can't get anybody to work, all I'm going to automate or AI, that's where they're going to go. So, Saru Jayaraman, president of One Fair Wage, says we see people across the political spectrum and the vast majority who are not politically affiliated saying, I don't care about Republicans, Democrats, or Independents. What I care about is I can feed my family and who's going to deliver for me. So whoever is the candidate who says we're going to increase minimum wage is going to get the votes. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Dahlia here. Thousands of physicians, residents, nurses, and medical students are silently dealing with depression. And tragically, 400 take their lives each year. 400! I wrote The Depressed Doctor, hoping to reach out to anyone struggling. You're not alone. Don't stay silent. The Depressed Doctor can be found on Amazon, or the book can be found on drdahlia.com. And if you or anyone you know needs help, call or text 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline. And we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So they are concerned that this Ebola outbreak is going to surpass the one from last decade that killed 11,600 people. Right now, it hasn't gotten to that degree, but it's bad. And the Ebola outbreak in Congo has now reached 5,000 cases in such a shorter, quicker period of time. And this unprecedented speed is outpacing efforts to slow it down. According to AP News, data from Congo's Ministry of Health showed the outbreak had so far recorded 5,000 cases, including 2,300 deaths as of Sunday. It rages in some of the most challenging conditions. Why? Because you have a lot of high population, insecurity, poor funds, as well as militia. The outbreak has infected and killed more people at a greater speed than any other outbreak in history. Now, the 2014 and 2016 to 2016 outbreak spanned over 2 years, killed 11,600 people. We're already at 2,300, so we're at a fifth of that in just a few months. So they think it's spreading at least 3 times faster. According to World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said the outbreak has spread rapidly and the risk of further national and international spread remains high. Therese Anyaya, a nurse working in Ituri's capital, Bunia, says she's exhausted. The work demands the poor working conditions. In fact, many of the workers are going on strike because they're not getting paid. She said if the managers don't take things seriously, we too will end up withdrawing. The way this epidemic is being managed is exhausting. So we don't really have approved vaccines for this strain. We don't really have approved treatments. This is a rarer virus called the Bundibugyo, and many cases are being reported outside of the people being monitored. Many individuals in these smaller villages don't trust modern medicine or city medicine or being so in those areas, if you think distrust of the CDC and Fauci, was high in America and the NIH and all that, it's even more so in rural areas across the globe. And what some of these villagers or people fear is that if they do have it, or, they're not thinking, well, am I going to give it to everybody and they're going to get sick? Or, they might be like, look, I don't have it. I have something else. So one, they're in denial, especially if they don't have access to testing. But 2, they fear that they're going to be murdered. That if the government can't control the virus or can't treat them, they'll be either left to die or killed. And you don't have a lot of enthusiasm for people raising their hand going, hi, I think I'm sick. I think I have something. And there's just a distrust. Not to mention, many of these areas are being attacked. Ituri, the province, which has been hit by the worst of the outbreak, has become a primary location for violence. This is limiting the response of healthcare workers. Residents on Monday attacked a health team in the territory of Aru after a suspected case was reported there. A mob set fire to an ambulance and damaged 2 other vehicles. Why? I don't know. But there's bad people everywhere. And so you're a healthcare worker. You don't want to be killed trying to help somebody with Ebola. It's bad enough you're being exposed to Ebola. And so the Ituri response efforts are blunted. They need to get rural, mining, displaced area patients there to a centralized location where they could treat them. The other thing, too, also is many communities, they're not on Facebook. They're not online. So getting word from what's going on miles away is not that easy. So by the time somebody is sick, having fever, vomiting, bleeding from their nose and mouth, they might not connect the two that it's Ebola. Experts believe the virus has been spreading from the mining town of Mongbualu as early as February, months before authorities declared the outbreak on May 15th, which means the cases that they've found, remember, these are cases and deaths that they've found. Many families might bury their dead without letting anybody know. And so we're talking 6 months. We're already seeing this rate of cases. It is a lot. They say responders are racing to catch up. They're also battling the rebel group threats, anger from communities, bad roads. Now, the 2014-2016 Ebola outbreak considered the deadliest. Ebola was identified in the 70s, but Many of the outbreaks would maybe affect 200 to 400 people. The 2014-2016 was the biggest yet. They're concerned this is going to be the biggest. Government data showing that the Bundibugyo outbreak has killed a higher percentage of people as care and support are not getting to patients. The situation also varies across 6 affected provinces. Now, the fatality rate is 47.4%. Some places, like the North Kivu province, the fatality rate is 70%. So they need help. And if they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the government, the management, the first responders, police, the military, that is sadly going to really impair efforts. I do have some good news for you guys. For you coffee drinkers, another study, coffee is good. New study suggesting your morning cup from researchers in Finland found that you may have lower body fat, more skeletal muscle, and other metabolic markers that may be beneficial than those who don't drink coffee. The study also looked at sex hormones among men. Higher coffee intake was associated with higher total testosterone and higher levels of sex hormone binding globulin, but lower free testosterone. Now, coffee, if it's black, none of this vanilla flavored chocolate, whipped cream type stuff, has been shown to be very conducive for the liver, insulin sensitivity. But, again, it's how you're drinking it. This study was published in the European Journal of Nutrition, looked at 2,200 adults from the Northern Finland birth cohort 1966. Participants were 46 years old when their health information was collected in 2012. They divided them into groups of no coffee, which was me. I don't really drink coffee. 1 to 2 cups a day, 3 to 4 cups a day, and 5 or more cups a day. Most participants drank coffee. Only 70% of only 70 people of the 2,200 didn't drink coffee. They looked at their body composition, blood sugar, insulin measures, cholesterol, other metabolic markers, and sex hormones. They also analyzed 164 different blood-based lipid and metabolic measures. They found that higher coffee consumption, you had lower body fat, lower total fat mass, less visceral fat or fat amount around your organs, and more skeletal muscle mass. The BMI was similar across all the coffee groups. Now, it didn't mean that heavy obese people weighed less. It just meant that their body composition might have been healthier with less fat and more muscle. Researchers found that total testosterone generally increased. Men who drank moderate to high amounts of coffee had significantly higher total testosterone levels than men who didn't. But keep in mind, all right, you got to make sure that if you have a prostate issue, that doesn't make it worse. So still definitely talk to your urologist. Researchers found that higher coffee intake was associated with higher SHBG and lower free testosterone. So that could possibly affect, as your SHBG is a protein that binds your sex hormones, meaning then you have less free testosterone to do what it needs to do. But it didn't necessarily mean these people were looking like hypogonadism or. So they do believe that it could help. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fix erections and things like that, erectile dysfunction. For women, the testosterone was a little different with coffee. Look, I just want less body fat, so I'll go for whatever I have to. 1-877-Doc-Dolly.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.